Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Elise Jones from Boston College. It can take courage to be your real self in the face of messages from people, including you, that say you should be someone else. Maybe everyone in your high school is going to be a doctor or a lawyer, and you want to work with your hands. Maybe you want to fit in after moving to a new country, but are afraid of alienating your family. Maybe you want to shake things up in a workplace where everyone is expected to toe the line. Pushing back against things that don't feel right for you can be especially hard when it involves going against norms that are part of your own community. For my dissertation, I'm studying heterosexual married couples who were raised in a family-focused faith community where, from their youth, women were socialized to be full-time caregivers and men to provide for the family, messages that were amplified to white upper-middle-class audiences. I'll illustrate how three people in this setting constructed identities that deviated from these norms but were consistent with their own deepest ideals. In the process, they affect change for their families and their communities. So growing up, Marian internalized messages that women's ultimate fulfillment comes from caring for home and family. After many years as a stay-at-home mom, however, she was depressed and felt like a failure for not being satisfied with her caregiving role. She started to feel better when she went to work, but couldn't shake the guilt for being away from her kids, so after a year, she quit. Unable to find a place for herself within her own belief system, Marian felt like her foundation was crumbling. After months of questioning her beliefs, she came to realize that whether she worked didn't have to be tied to her other values. She subsequently returned to school and embarked on a career that's brought greater joy and balance to her family relationships. Watching Marian navigate this process empowered her husband to question social constraints on his own work and family identities. Inspired by her example, he traded his corporate position for a role that supports his goal to be closer to his children. In another example, Darrell grew up seeing little of his father, who worked long hours to support the family. When his own children were born, Darrell decided that he wanted to be more active in their lives. As his career progressed, he opted out of extra shifts on the weekend to be with his family, despite pressure in his industry to work overtime. After an interstate move for his wife's job, he decided to hold off on looking for work so he could help his family acclimate. When he introduced himself to the men of his community as retired, explaining that he was staying home to take care of his family, they didn't see this as a legitimate option. Eventually, Darrell discovered that a position had been set up for him. Although he ultimately accepted the position, Darrell insisted on and was given a schedule that allows him to be at home with his family after school and to support the kids' sporting events. By prioritizing caregiving, Darrell serves as a role model in his community, but also a quiet advocate for flexible work practices in a male-dominated environment. So, not having worked anything but part-time since her children were growing up, Peggy felt drawn to attend medical school. During the first year of her program, she worked crazy nonstop hours and battled guilt over being away from her kids. One day, a trusted community leader took her aside and told her she was making a grave mistake by putting her children in daycare. When she explained the emotions and feelings that had fueled her decision, he persisted. Devastated by this experience, Peggy began questioning her choice. After intense soul-searching, she had a profound experience that strengthened her conviction to be a doctor. After she completed medical school, her husband was disabled, leaving her as the sole support for her family, and she credited her convictions for being able to support them. Now well established in a career she loves, Peggy sees herself as a role model for her daughters and an advocate for people in her community whose lives don't fit the norm. So what did we learn from these examples? Each of these people charted a course that didn't fit with the community they belonged in. When they faced pushback, they revisited their convictions and decided to move forward with what was important to them. In the process, they empowered other people to also pursue a path that was authentic to them. So truly, we can be a force for change for ourselves and others when we act courageously with our convictions. Thank you.